The ultimatum. The warning came without ceremony. One moment, Earth's deep space sensors showed empty void. The next, 300 warships materialized at the edge of the solar system. They were enormous vessels, each one dwarfing humanity's largest space stations. Their hulls gleamed with colors no human eye had names for, and their energy signatures made every detector on Earth scream warnings. Captain Sarah Chen stood in the command center of Orbital Station Ganymede, watching the display with a cold feeling in her stomach. She was 42 years old, a veteran of the Mars independence conflict, and she had spent the last decade preparing Earth's orbital defenses. Now, looking at those 300 ships, she wondered if any preparation would be enough. The communication arrived on every frequency simultaneously. It bypassed encryption, override protocols, and appeared on every screen across Earth and its colonies. The being who spoke called itself High Arbiter Zeln. It resembled a massive insect standing upright, with compound eyes that seemed to look everywhere at once. When it spoke, the words came through translation devices that made its voice sound hollow and final. People of Earth, I am High Arbiter Zeln of the Galaxy Council. For 10,000 years, we have maintained order across 400 star systems. We have brought peace to the chaos of emerging civilizations. We have prevented countless wars and saved trillions of lives. Now we extend this same protection to you. Sarah felt her jaw tighten. She had heard recordings of similar speeches from alien contacts over the past year. The Galaxy Council always used words like protection and guidance. They never used words like conquest or submission. Your species has reached a critical stage, Zeln continued. You have developed nuclear weapons. You have created artificial intelligence. You have begun to spread beyond your home world. History teaches us that species at this stage become dangerous, both to themselves and to others. The Council cannot permit such risk. On screens across the command center, Sarah could see her staff exchanging worried glances. Lieutenant Marcus Webb, her tactical officer, pulled up files on his console. He was 28, brilliant, and had a gift for seeing patterns others missed. Therefore, the Galaxy Council issues the following terms. You will immediately cease all weapons development. You will surrender all nuclear materials and advanced military technology. You will accept Council observers who will guide your civilization toward peaceful development. You will submit to genetic adjustment treatments that will reduce aggressive tendencies in your population. Sarah's hands gripped the arms of her command chair. Genetic adjustment. They had learned about this from intercepted Council communications. It was not treatment. It was reprogramming. Species that accepted it became docile, passive, and eventually lost the drive to create or explore. They existed, but they no longer truly lived. You have 72 hours to comply, Zeln concluded. Failure to do so will result in enforcement action. We do not wish to harm you, but we will act to protect galactic stability. Choose wisely. The transmission ended. For a moment, silence filled the command center. Then every console began beeping as messages flooded in from Earth, from the moon bases, from Mars colonies, from mining operations throughout the asteroid belt. Everyone wanted to know the same thing: what happens now? Sarah stood and walked to the main viewport. Beyond the reinforced glass, she could see Earth hanging in space, beautiful and fragile. She had dedicated her life to protecting that world. She would not stop now. Marcus, get me a secure channel to Earth Defense Command. Priority Alpha clearance. Yes, Captain. Establishing link now. Within minutes, Sarah found herself in a virtual conference with the leaders of Earth's major powers. The Emergency Defense Council had been established 5 years ago when humanity first detected signs of advanced alien civilizations. Back then, many people had been excited about the possibility of contact. Now those dreams seemed naive. General James Okoye of the African Union spoke first. He was 70 years old, with gray hair and eyes that had seen too many conflicts. Captain Chen, I assume you've reviewed the alien fleet's capabilities? Yes, General. Our analysis is not encouraging. Each of their ships appears to have energy weapons far beyond anything we can produce. Their shields would stop our missiles before they got close. In a direct confrontation, we would lose. Premier Liu Xiaoming of the Pacific Coalition leaned forward. She was a former diplomat who had spent years trying to prepare humanity for peaceful contact. That hope now seemed dead. Then surrender is our only option. Surrender means extinction, Sarah replied flatly. Not immediate, but inevitable. They want to change who we are at a genetic level. Every species that has accepted this treatment has lost the ability to innovate, to dream, to push boundaries. Within a few generations, humanity would become something else. Something that just exists without purpose. President Alexandra Volkov of the European Federation shook her head. But if we fight and lose, they will kill us all. At least with surrender, humans survive in some form. Do they? Sarah asked. If we let them take away everything that makes us human, are we really surviving? Or are we just allowing our bodies to continue while our souls die? The council chamber fell silent. Finally, Director Chen Wei of the Asian Prosperity Sphere spoke. He was the youngest member of the council at 45, and he had built his reputation on finding solutions to impossible problems. Captain Chen, is there any scenario where we could win? Sarah took a deep breath. We cannot win a conventional war. But there may be another way. For the past 8 years, my team has been developing something we call the Cascade Protocol. It was meant as a last resort defensive measure. She brought up a holographic display showing Earth's orbital space. Scattered throughout the display were thousands of small markers. These represent weapon platforms we have hidden throughout the solar system. They are disguised as debris, asteroids, dead satellites. Each one is equipped with kinetic accelerators and nuclear warheads. They cannot destroy the Council fleet, but they can make an attack on Earth extremely costly. General Okoye studied the display. You built a secret weapons network without authorization. I built an insurance policy. After the first alien contact, I realized we might face exactly this situation. I used black budget funds and worked with scientists who understood the stakes. How effective would these weapons be? Asked Premier Liu. Marcus Webb stepped into the virtual conference. Captain, may I? Sarah nodded. Marcus brought up tactical projections. The Council ships have powerful shields and weapons, but they are designed for fighting other energy-based weapon systems. Our kinetic weapons are different. We accelerate metal slugs to a significant fraction of light speed. The shields are not optimized to stop physical projectiles at these velocities. We estimate we could destroy or disable 30 to 40% of their fleet before they neutralize our platforms. President Volkov looked shocked. You are talking about killing potentially millions of alien beings. They are talking about erasing humanity, Sarah replied. I wish we had better options. But they came here with warships, not diplomats. They gave us an ultimatum, not an invitation to negotiate. We can surrender and die slowly, or we can fight and at least die as ourselves. Director Chen Wei studied the tactical display. Even if we damage their fleet, they will eventually overwhelm us. What then? Sarah had anticipated this question. She brought up another display, this one showing deep space trajectories. 6 months ago, we launched 12 unmanned probe vessels. Officially, they are scientific exploration missions. Actually, each one carries detailed information about the Galaxy Council, including the locations of their home worlds. If Earth falls, those probes will deliver our data to every emerging civilization they can find. Future species will know what the Council does to young civilizations. They will know to prepare, to hide their development, to be ready. You are talking about revenge, Premier Liu said quietly. I am talking about legacy. If humanity must end, let our end mean something. Let it be a warning that helps others survive. The council members looked at each other. Sarah could see the weight of the decision in their faces. They were being asked to choose between certain genetic death and probable physical death. Neither option was acceptable, but a choice had to be made. General Okoye spoke first. I have spent my entire life fighting to protect human freedom. I will not surrender it now. I vote to activate the Cascade Protocol. One by one, the others agreed. Some did so with confidence, others with resignation. But in the end, the vote was unanimous. Humanity would fight. Sarah felt no joy in the decision. She understood what it meant. Billions would die. Earth might burn. But at least humans would face their end with dignity, choosing their own fate rather than accepting slavery disguised as protection. All stations, this is Captain Sarah Chen, she broadcast across all military frequencies. Activate Cascade Protocol. Authorization Code Alpha 79 Omega. Bring all hidden platforms online. Charge all weapons. Prepare for combat operations. Across the solar system, thousands of dormant weapon systems came alive. In the asteroid belt, disguised platforms extended targeting arrays. Near Jupiter, fake mining equipment revealed missile batteries. Around Earth's orbit, what had appeared to be space debris suddenly showed active power signatures. Sarah opened a direct channel to the Council fleet. High Arbiter Zelm's insectoid face appeared on her screen, its compound eyes reflecting surprise. High Arbiter, this is Captain Sarah Chen, Commander of Earth's Orbital Defense Network. We have received your ultimatum. Here is our response: no. We will not surrender our weapons. We will not accept your observers. We will not submit to genetic modification. Earth is not yours to control. Zelm's mandibles clicked in what might have been irritation. You cannot win this conflict. You are a young species with primitive technology. We have conquered hundreds of worlds. Resistance is futile and will only result in your destruction. Then destroy us, Sarah replied calmly. But know that we will make you pay a price you have never paid before. We have weapons you cannot see positioned throughout this system. We have studied your ships and found their weaknesses. If you attack Earth, you will lose ships, crews, and resources. And even if you win, you will gain nothing. We will never submit willingly. She leaned forward, her eyes locked on the aliens. You called us primitive. You called us dangerous. Maybe you are right. But we are also something else. We are free. And we intend to stay that way, whatever the cost. She cut the transmission before Zelm could respond. Around her, the command center was a flurry of activity as her crew prepared for battle. Marcus moved to stand beside her, his face pale but determined. Captain, they are moving. The fleet is advancing toward Earth. Sarah nodded slowly. She had expected this. The Council was not accustomed to defiance. They would attempt to crush humanity quickly, to make an example that would prevent other species from resisting. All platforms, stand by. Do not fire until they cross the Mars orbital line. Let them come into our trap. On the main display, 300 alien warships began moving toward Earth. They were confident, powerful, and utterly certain of their superiority. They had no idea what humanity had prepared for them. Sarah thought about her daughter living in Sydney, about her aging parents in Shanghai, about the billions of humans who had no idea that the next few hours might determine whether their species continued to exist. She had made the decision for all of them. She hoped history would judge her kindly, assuming anyone survived to write that history. Captain, they have crossed Mars orbit. Weapons range in 30 seconds. Sarah took a deep breath. All platforms, you are authorized to fire at will. Show them what humans are capable of. The first kinetic projectile launched from a disguised platform in the asteroid belt, accelerating to impossible speeds. It crossed millions of kilometers in seconds and struck a council ship amidships. The alien vessel's shields, designed to disperse energy, could not handle the focused kinetic impact. The ship split in half, venting atmosphere and debris. Then thousands more projectiles launched, filling space with deadly metal traveling at relativistic speeds. The battle for Earth's freedom had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same. The price of freedom. The Council fleet had never experienced anything like it. High Arbiter Zeln watched from the bridge of his command vessel as the tactical display lit up with red warning markers. Ships were dying, and he could not understand how. "What is hitting us?" he demanded. "Where are their energy signatures?" His sensor officer, a being from the Krell species with 6 arms and crystalline skin, worked frantically at her console. "High Arbiter, these are not energy weapons. They are physical projectiles moving at 12% of light speed. Our shields are not stopping them." Zeln felt something he had not experienced in decades of service: fear. The Council had perfected defense against energy weapons over thousands of years. But these humans were throwing rocks at them. Extremely fast rocks, but still just physical matter. It should not work, yet his fleet was bleeding ships. "Return fire. Destroy those weapons platforms." The Council ships responded with coordinated energy beams that could vaporize small moons. They swept space, targeting the sources of the kinetic attacks. Platforms exploded in silent fury, their human crews dying instantly. But for every platform destroyed, a dozen more fired. The humans had been thorough in their preparation. On orbital station Ganymede, Captain Sarachan watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. They were hurting the Council fleet badly. Already, 47 alien ships had been destroyed or disabled. But the cost was terrible. She had lost contact with 60% of her hidden platforms. Thousands of her people were dead. "Captain, the Council fleet is splitting into 3 groups," Marcus reported. "One is advancing directly on Earth. The other 2 are moving to flank our remaining platforms." Sarah studied the tactical display. The Council was adapting faster than she had hoped. They were willing to sacrifice ships to close the distance, getting near enough to Earth that humanity would hesitate to use nuclear weapons for fear of fallout. "Send the activation code to the Luna batteries. It is time to show them our surface defenses." On Earth's moon, hidden installations that had been disguised as mining operations suddenly revealed their true purpose. Massive railguns emerged from beneath false crater floors. These weapons were even more powerful than the orbital platforms, built into the moon's bedrock and powered by fusion reactors buried deep underground. The railguns fired in sequence, sending tungsten rods the size of telephone poles toward the advancing Council ships. The projectiles crossed the distance in seconds. 3 more alien vessels died, their hulls punctured by weapons that predated spaceflight in concept but had been perfected with modern technology. High Arbiter Zeln watched another of his ships die and felt his confidence crumbling. This was supposed to be simple. Humanity was young, divided, technologically inferior. They should have surrendered immediately or been crushed within hours. Instead, they were fighting with a ferocity and cleverness that reminded him of old stories about the galaxy's most dangerous predator species. "Contact the Council. Tell them we need reinforcements." His communications officer turned to face him, fear evident in her posture. "High Arbiter, the nearest Council fleet is 6 days away. Can we hold that long?" Before Zeln could answer, alarms shrieked across the bridge. One of the human projectiles had penetrated their flagship's shields through sheer kinetic force. The impact was catastrophic. The ship shuddered, systems failed, and Zeln found himself thrown to the floor as artificial gravity fluctuated. When he pulled himself up, half his bridge crew was dead or injured. Emergency systems were screaming warnings. His flagship, the mighty Eternal Judgment, was dying. "Abandon ship," he ordered, his voice barely steady. "All crew to escape pods. Communications, transfer command to the Righteous Voice." As Zeln made his way to an escape pod, he realized something that chilled him more than the prospect of death. The humans were not fighting to win. They knew they could not win. They were fighting to make the cost of victory unacceptable. They were willing to destroy themselves as long as they took enough of the council with them. It was madness. It was brilliant. It was terrifying. Sarah watched the council flagship break apart and felt no triumph, only exhaustion. The battle had been raging for 6 hours. Earth's orbital space was filled with debris, both human and alien. She had lost 90% of her hidden platforms. Casualty reports were still coming in, but she knew the numbers would be devastating. "Captain, we are receiving a transmission from the Council fleet. They want to negotiate." Sarah felt her heart skip. "Put it through." A new alien face appeared on her screen. This one resembled a tall, elegant being with silver skin and 3 eyes arranged vertically. "I am Commander Valaris. I have assumed command of the Council fleet. High Arbiter Zeln has been evacuated to a support vessel. Commander Valaris, I am Captain Sarah Chen. Have you had enough?" The alien's middle eye focused intently on her. "Your tactics are unexpected. We have lost 83 ships. You have inflicted casualties we have not experienced in centuries. But you must know you cannot sustain this defense. We still outnumber you significantly." "True," Sarah admitted. "But I can make you pay for every meter you advance. And if you get close enough to bombard Earth, I still have nuclear weapons I can detonate in your fleet's midst. You will win eventually, but how many more ships are you willing to lose? How many more of your people are you willing to sacrifice?" Valaris was silent for a long moment. "What are you proposing?" "Leave. Go back to your council and tell them that Earth is not worth the cost. Tell them we want to be left alone. We do not threaten you. We do not seek conflict with other species. We simply want to develop at our own pace, in our own way. The council fears what you might become. Then let them fear from a distance. We are not asking to join your civilization. We are not demanding trade or technology. We just want our freedom." Valaris looked away from the screen, apparently consulting with others. When he returned his focus to Sarah, his expression was difficult to read. "The Council has rules. We cannot simply allow a species to reject our guidance. It would set a precedent that could destabilize our entire system of governance." Sarah leaned forward, her voice hard. "Then I will give you a new precedent. Attack Earth, and we will fight until every human is dead. We have rigged our entire planet with fusion bombs. If your fleet approaches for orbital bombardment, we will detonate them all. You will conquer a radioactive wasteland incapable of supporting life for 10,000 years." It was a bluff, but Sarah delivered it with complete conviction. In truth, no such doomsday system existed. But Valaris did not know that, and after seeing humanity's willingness to sacrifice its own people, the alien commander had no reason to doubt her. "You would commit species suicide rather than accept our protection. We would die free rather than live as slaves. That is who humans are. You need to understand that, Commander. We are not like the other species you have conquered. We do not calculate odds and surrender when they are poor. We do not value survival above all else. We are willing to lose everything if the alternative is losing ourselves." Marcus leaned close to Sarah and whispered, "Captain, I am detecting energy spikes in the Council fleet. They might be preparing another attack." Sarah nodded slightly but kept her attention on Valaris. "I know what you are thinking, Commander. You are wondering if I am bluffing. You are calculating whether you can destroy our remaining defenses before we can detonate our doomsday weapons. Let me make this simple, you cannot. And even if you could, do you really want to be the commander who turned Earth into a dead world? Is that the legacy you want?" On the Council command ship, Valaris faced the most difficult decision of his long career. He had served the Council for 2 centuries. He believed in their mission of bringing order to the galaxy. But he had also studied history, and he knew that some species were too dangerous to conquer. The Kreth had fought the Council to mutual extinction 4,000 years ago. That war had nearly destroyed both civilizations and had taught the Council a hard lesson: some victories cost more than they are worth. Looking at the human captain's face, Valaris saw something that reminded him of ancient Kreth warriors. Determination. Defiance. A complete absence of fear. These humans would do exactly what they threatened. They would burn their own world rather than surrender it. Captain Chen, I will convey your message to the Council. But I cannot promise they will accept it. I am not asking for promises. I am giving you facts. Earth will not surrender. You can kill us, but you cannot control us. The Council needs to decide if making an example of humanity is worth losing more ships and creating a precedent of total war. Valaris nodded slowly. There is wisdom in your words, even if your methods are savage. I will recommend a full withdrawal and quarantine. Earth will be left alone, but you will not be permitted to expand beyond your solar system for 100 years. After that, we will reassess. We can accept those terms, Sarah said, relief flooding through her. But we will continue to develop our defenses. If the Council ever changes its mind and decides to attack again, we will be ready. I suspect you will be. You are a dangerous species, Captain Chen. The Council was right about that, at least. We are only dangerous to those who threaten us. Leave us in peace, and we will leave you in peace. The transmission ended. Sarah slumped in her command chair, suddenly aware of how exhausted she was. Marcus and the rest of her bridge crew looked at her with expressions mixing awe and disbelief. Did we just win? Marcus asked quietly. No, Sarah replied. We just survived. There is a difference. Over the next 12 hours, the Council fleet withdrew. They moved slowly, collecting their damaged vessels and escape pods. Sarah kept her remaining weapons active and tracking them until they disappeared into faster-than-light travel. Only then did she allow herself to believe it was truly over. The cost became clear in the following days. 12,000 humans had died in the battle, most of them crew members on the hidden weapons platforms. 3 orbital stations had been damaged. The debris field around Earth would take years to clear. But humanity was free. Sarah stood in the observation deck of Ganymede Station, looking out at Earth. The planet seemed unchanged from this distance, still beautiful and fragile. But everything had changed. Humanity had faced its first test as a spacefaring civilization and had chosen freedom over safety. Director Chen Wei contacted her from Earth. Captain Chen, the Emergency Defense Council has voted to make your temporary command permanent. You are now Supreme Commander of Earth's Defense Forces, with authority to continue developing our defensive capabilities. Sarah had expected this, but it still felt heavy. I accept, Director. But we need to be clear about something. Today we survived because the Council was not willing to pay the price we demanded. That will not always be the case. We need to become stronger, faster, more capable. We bought ourselves time, but we used that time poorly once before. We cannot make that mistake again. Agreed. You will have whatever resources you need. After the call ended, Marcus joined Sarah at the viewport. What do you think happens now, Captain? Now we build. We learn. We prepare. The Council will not forget what happened here. Other species will hear about a young civilization that defied the galaxy's greatest power and survived. Some will admire us. Others will fear us. Many will want to test us. Do you think we did the right thing? All those people who died. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. I think we made the only choice we could live with. Surrender would have saved lives today, but it would have killed humanity slowly over generations. We chose to fight for who we are. That is never wrong, even when the cost is terrible. She turned to face him directly. What we did here will echo across the galaxy. We showed that humans cannot be conquered easily, that we value freedom more than survival, that we are willing to pay any price to remain ourselves. That is a powerful message. It will attract allies and enemies in equal measure. But it is true, and truth is worth fighting for. Far across the galaxy, in the grand chamber of the council, High Arbiter Zelm stood before his peers and explained his failure. He had expected condemnation. Instead, he found understanding. The humans are unlike any species we have encountered, Elder Counselor Tharn said, his ancient voice filling the chamber. They possess a quality we have not seen in thousands of years. They are willing to embrace annihilation rather than surrender their identity. They are dangerous, Zeln insisted. They will only become more so as they develop. Perhaps, Tharn agreed. Or perhaps they will mature and become something valuable to the galactic community. We cannot know. But we have learned today that some species cannot be controlled. They can only be destroyed or left alone. The cost of destroying humanity proved too high. Therefore, we leave them alone and watch. In 100 years, we will see what they have become. If they prove peaceful neighbors, we may offer alliance. If they prove hostile, we will revisit our decision. And if they attack us first? Tharn's eyes, old beyond measure, held a hint of amusement. Then we will discover if their courage matches their defiance. But I suspect these humans are not conquerors. They are survivors. They fight when threatened but do not seek conflict. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. Back on Earth, in a small apartment in Sydney, Sarah Chen's daughter watched news reports of the battle. She saw her mother's face on screens across the world, heard people calling her a hero. But she also saw the casualty lists, the names of thousands who had died fighting for humanity's freedom. She was proud of her mother. She was terrified for her mother. She was grateful to live in a world that remained free. And she wondered what kind of future awaited a species that had announced itself to the galaxy with missiles and defiance rather than open hands and hope. Only time would tell if humanity's choice had been right. But it had been their choice, made freely and without apology. And in the end, perhaps that was what mattered most. The stars looked different now. They were no longer distant lights promising adventure and discovery. They were reminders that humanity stood alone, surrounded by civilizations that feared them, respected them, or sought to destroy them. The age of innocence was over. The age of consequence had begun. And somewhere in the depths of space, 12 unmanned probes continued their journey, carrying humanity's message to civilizations yet unknown: we are here, we are free, and we will never surrender that freedom willingly. The galaxy had been warned. Humanity would chart its own course among the stars, whatever the cost, whatever the danger. They had paid the price for freedom once. They would pay it again if necessary. That was the promise Sarah Chen made as she looked out at the stars. That was the legacy of the day humanity said no to the galaxy's greatest power and survived to tell the tale. The battle was over. But humanity's journey had only just begun.